Hey everyone, Dr. Backbencher here. Today we will be studying ptosis, right? Or blepharoptosis or blepharoptosis. I don't know how to say that. Let's just call it ptosis, right? Because it is commonly called ptosis. So ptosis is defined as the abnormal drooping of the eyelid, right? Drooping. By drooping, they mean when one cannot open their eyelid as properly as normal, right? And this is specific to the upper eyelid, right? So a person who can't open his upper eyelid properly, we call that condition is called ptosis, right? Or blepharoptosis. And it is classified into, according to its cause, it's classified into myogenic, aponeurotic, neurogenic, mechanical, and congenital, right? Okay, let's start with it. But before we start, let's revisit a little bit of anatomy, right? You can skip this portion if you already know. See the eye, right? The eyelids, right? Let's make an eye here. The eyelids are actually controlled by, or they're actually elevated, they're opened by two kinds of muscles, right? I'm sure you're aware of the first one, that is the levator palpebrae superioris, right? It is the levator. It is also called the levator muscle, and it's above in the somewhere around the forehead region, and it sends down its aponeurosis or its tendons, right? Aponeurosis and tendons basically the same thing, a little bit different, but they do the same function. So when the levator muscle contracts, this causes the eyelid to open up, right? And then there is another little muscle which we probably have ignored up till now, but because there are associated pathologies with it, we have to recall that muscle. In fact, I've explained. I didn't explain, but I did mention that muscle back in the very first video of applied anatomy and physiology. You can look that up. That muscle is called the Muller's muscle, right? And we'll talk about Muller's muscle in a few moments when we discuss its pathologies. But the Muller muscle is a small muscle which is located within the eyelid, right? And it is parasympathetically supplied. And this is very important to know, this innervation, because there is associated pathology with it, right? So levator muscle, let's talk about that first. Levator muscle is supplied by the cranial nerve 3, right? It is supplied by the third cranial nerve. It is supplied by the oculomotor nerve. Remember, there was also orbicularis oculi muscle surrounding the eye, right? And it was used to close the eyes. This was supplied by the facial nerve, right? But the levator muscle is supplied by the oculomotor nerve, right? We'll be studying this later. Not later, I mean in the next few slides. So this is very important to know, a little bit of anatomy for you. So classification: myogenic, aponeurotic, neurogenic, mechanical, and congenital. Easy, right? Nothing so difficult about it. Myogenic ptosis, right? In which there is a problem in the myo, or in the muscle, right? So when you think about those diseases in which there are muscles which are not properly working, myasthenia gravis very naturally comes to our mind, right? Myasthenia gravis is a muscle disorder. It's an autoimmune disorder where the neuromuscular junction, there's a problem that at the neuromuscular junction, the receptors are destroyed by the immune system, and as a result, our muscles can't work. Let's not get into details of that. But myasthenia gravis is a muscle problem, and so is myotonic dystrophy, right? It is also a muscle problem which occurs in adults. It is genetic, right? And both of these, they don't have a really proper cure. Especially myotonic dystrophy it's not curable. And there can be other ocular myopathy. How would you treat myogenic ptosis? Is by you treat myogenic ptosis by treating the underlying condition. And now we have the next one, aponeurotic involutional ptosis, right? Aponeurotic or involutional. Or involutional, or it's even called senile ptosis, right? So it is in fact one of the most common type of ptosis, right? Aponeurosis of the levator muscle is disinserted. It is it is for some reason it stops working, it cuts off. There can be a lot of reasons, right? Like for example, old age, it can get weakened, it can get stretched, it can be disinserted, it can be destroyed or cut off due to trauma or surgeries, or even chronic inflammation may disturb this aponeurosis. Symptoms include high eyelid crease, right? The eyelid goes up because there is no more, well, not the eyelid actually, but the area above the eyelid, the crease of the eyelid, which is a little bit above the eyelid, that kind of goes up because the muscle does not, it contracts with full force and there is nothing to pick up. So it goes really, really up. And there is good levator function. Excuse me. There is good levator function because, well, the levator muscle is intact, right? There is no problem with the levator muscle, only its aponeurosis has been damaged, right? And we'll talk about its treatment in the later slides. There is also neurogenic ptosis, and this slide is a little bit high yield, right? Etiology: cranial nerve 3 oculomotor palsy, right? The palsy of the oculomotor nerve can cause neurogenic ptosis because if you cut off the oculomotor nerve, there is no action of the levator palpebrae superioris, right? There is no levator muscle action. As a result, you can't lift up your eyelids, and you'll have ptosis. Or there's another very interesting disease called the Horner's syndrome, right? It's a whole disease, right? We will not be going into that. But if you have a cranial nerve, if you have oculomotor palsy or Horner's syndrome, you will have ptosis because one of the signs of Horner's syndrome is ptosis, right? And the treatment of Horner's syndrome, well, you can't really fix a palsy of the oculomotor nerve. For example, if it's cut off, there is some problem with it. That's the bad thing about nerves. Once they get damaged, they're very difficult to recover. But in cases of, if there is a case of Horner's syndrome, well, there is an operation called Fasanella Servet operation that could be used to fix this condition if there is a Horner's syndrome, right? If there is a neurogenic ptosis caused by Horner's syndrome, Fasanella Servet operation might help us. Yeah, Muller's muscle role. Okay, let's talk about Muller's muscle for a second. When you open your eye, that is the only time you're using the levator muscle. The moment your eye gets open, the role of the levator muscle kind of decreases, right? And it's actually the Muller muscles which keep your eye open. So levator muscle opens your eye, and Muller's muscle keep it open, right? It's something like that. So Muller's muscle role is important, right? And there is again mechanical ptosis, right? Due to mechanical mass, like a tumor or chalazion, which forces it down, right? Because of its weight. Let's talk about the clinical features of ptosis, right? So abnormal head posture. In fact, it will be abnormal in a way that the patient would have they would cock their head upwards, right? Strabismus, right? They can usually have strabismus. In fact, strabismus is very strongly correlated to ptosis, right? Cosmetic disfigurement, they don't look good, of course, if one of your eyes open, the other is half open. Cosmetic disfigurement, right? You don't look good. And there is this another interesting thing called lazy eye, amblyopia, right? And this lazy eye is actually a very large topic of its own, right? It's a whole can of worms, and I will not open that here. But lazy eye, you can just memorize it for now. We will be talking about lazy eye in the future lectures. Treatment of ptosis include surgical procedures, right? And once again, surgical procedures, they're almost impossible to just draw on the blackboard, right? So you have to use some of your imagination, and you have to go and watch some surgeries on YouTube. I can't provide them here because of copyright restrictions, but you can just Google them, okay? And so for now, let's just remember their names, right? Fasanella Servet operation. There is the levator aponeurosis resection, sling procedure, aponeurotic strengthening, right? Just remember their names, and that'll be it. That is not a big problem. But do look up these surgeries, right? It'll help you retain, it'll help you remember stuff, right? I personally hate doing like this. I personally hate, mentioning things which I cannot describe because it causes a confusion, and that's not good, right? But I had to do this here because these surgeries are very important, right? And there's a chance that in your exams, in our exams, we might face the question of what are these, for example, what are the surgeries related, or what are those surgeries which are done in the treatment of ptosis, right? So you have to at least know their names, right? Even if you don't know the procedures, but I would recommend you to go through these procedures and Google them. Then we have the measurement of the ptosis severity, right? How severe ptosis is. It's based on two things. It could be based on the degree of ptosis, how much the eyelid has come down from its original position. So if it has come down like 1 to 2 millimeters, that's called mild ptosis. If it is moderately, if it comes down like 3 millimeters or something, that is called moderate ptosis. And severe ptosis is when it comes down 4 millimeters or more, right, from its original healthy position, right? And it can also be the measurement of ptosis can also be done by comparing it with the function of the levator muscle, right? If the levator muscle can pull up the from the closed position, if the levator muscle can pull up the eyelash 4 millimeters or less, so they have a poor function of the levator muscle. A fair function of the levator muscle would be if it could pull up the eyelid 5 to 10 millimeters. A good functioning levator muscle would be able to pull it up 10 millimeters, and normally in our eyes, or in the eye of a healthy individual, they can pull it up all the way from 15 to 18 millimeters, right? These are values. They could be a good target of MCQs, and you might want to double check all these values, because I sometimes round off my values just for simplicity, right? In fact, I would really recommend you to double check these values and also these values as well. Yeah, and I think that's it for ptosis, right? Yeah, and I hope you learned something. Like, subscribe, and share if you think it's worth it. And yeah, thank you very much. I'll see you in the next one.